This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, along with fellow Manchild, Johnny Karlic. And I wasn't going to say this, Johnny, but before I get into the full intro, I am. If you're on YouTube, and this gives you a reason, if you're an audio listener, to come over and check out the YouTube video for this. We have two new additions to our... Well, we had one new addition last week.
Yes. That
I decided is a very good enough addition to stay. I liked him in the centerpiece. We got the Green Ranger helmet.
Very nice.
Right here that Dave was very envious over.
Oh, yeah.
Last week. And then you have a new addition as well, something that you bought online.
Thor Ragnarok helmet.
Yeah, a little Thor Ragnarok helmet where at any time Johnny can just say, screw it, I'm going to take these headphones off and I'm going full Thor mode.
Yep.
And I'm going to put the Ragnarok helmet on. So we've got two new additions, that's how I'll say it, to our set piece here. But we're back for the Rick and Johnny podcast where we talk about everything under the two nerdy suns: TV, entertainment, movies. We talk about superheroes, comics. We hit everything, but don't confuse us with a graphic conversation coming later this year. But Johnny, jam-packed show. Jam-packed. I had to wear this shirt.
Yeah, you did.
For one reason. We usually have sandwiches. Today we're not making a sandwich. Then we usually have Marvel.
More like an open face sandwich.
It's an open face sandwich. Usually then we have Marvel shows where it's Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. This is one we have not done in quite a while. It is a full DC podcast here on the Rick and Johnny podcast. It is not. It is a full DC podcast. What we are looking at is really two big topics, and then we're splitting one of them into two to hit two separate areas. But the big news, the Batman, that whole script, the story, what we know a lot more things, and the big thing is Ben Affleck is out of the Batman. So first we're going to talk about who we could see, like the movie, and then who we could see being the next Batman, because that's the next thing we do when somebody leaves a role. Then the second topic, we're going to take that Batman discussion and kind of segue it into what it means for the future of DC movies now that we know what the Cape Crusader will look like in the next installment that he'll be in. And then we'll wrap the podcast up with some Birds of Prey.
There you go.
We got their teaser trailer. We're going to react on that short, it's what, like 30-second, 40-second trailer? It's not a lot, but there is a lot to react to, especially with a movie that me and you were kind of like, I don't know what we're going to get from this one. Now we actually see something with it. But before we get into everything, I actually have to give a shout out, and I hope my charging cord is long enough. So we had a listener, Johnny. He has gotten a shout out this week on every single podcast.
Ooh.
And the reason why, and you could also get a shout out like him too, if you go over to iTunes and Apple Podcast and rate the Rick and Johnny podcast, give us your rating. I will read it. Hopefully it's a good one here on the podcast. And this week, he rated every single podcast on MVP. So this is us continuing the trend. He's been on every podcast. Sung Hyung, I hope I'm saying that right, 85, said awesome, 5-starred us, and said very good podcast on comics, movies, TV shows, etc. Smiley face.
Damn.
And as of right now,
got a smiley face out of that one.
We are the only MVP podcast to have a perfect 5 out of 5 on their Apple iTunes. Everybody else that I've seen for MVP is at a 4.5.
Ooh.
We are perfect, Johnny. So help us keep that perfect rating and give us a 5-star. But let's get into the first topic, and that is the Batman. We got a lot to unpack with this one, as we found out this week, according to Deadline, and I'll read it here from the article I have. Deadline revealed that WB has given Matt Reeves, the Batman, as it is tentatively titled, a June 25th, 2021 release date. The confirmation of the date comes after Reeves teased the likely release window. The report also confirms that has long been assumed that Ben Affleck is leaving the role behind for a younger actor to take over. Casting is currently underway to find the new Bruce Wayne. And the thing I want to unpack from this is we know the story is written by Matt Reeves. We also know it's going to include multiple villains from the Batman Rogues Gallery. We obviously know it's going to be a younger Batman, as I just said, younger actor. But the third thing is Ben Affleck isn't done playing Batman. He's got, I believe it's 2 more movies on his DC contract, so we could still see him in
1 or 2 more.
Another movie, maybe like a Flashpoint, like maybe if they do another Justice League and he's in that.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but
go ahead.
But like they still from this one, I believe it's supposed to be a younger Batman.
Yes.
So they still need him for like if you have a Justice League, blah blah blah. If they finally get the Flashpoint out, they could just recast Batman after that.
But you'll still have Bruce in there, maybe as some flashbacks with Thomas.
You would need him.
Well, not really. He wouldn't. Then he wouldn't get that. You
would probably need the Ben Affleck one for like the beginning of Flashpoint.
The ending of
the
Flashpoint.
end. You can kick him out
of the way.
Kick him out of there and have someone else take over
here
because it changes the time. You can say it changes the timeline, makes the Batman a little bit different.
Yes.
You
yes.
could. Not saying you will. You have to. But
you could also, if
that's how it can be explained, where you recast him at the end.
And that's an idea I've thrown out.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it back up.
It could just be also, no, this is a movie we're going to do with the Ben Affleck Batman. And yes, it's a movie that counts towards his contract. I don't know, like, if there's in the contract, I have to be in this much portion of the movie for it to work.
Maybe not.
But it could be as simple, hey, this is just going to be condensed to them. And when Barry comes back, spoilers for Flashpoint if you haven't read it.
Or watched it.
But when Barry comes back to his original timeline, he gives the letter to Bruce from his father, basically. And then you see the emotional scene of where Batman tears up. But they could do something like that. Not necessarily Flashpoint, but it could be a different movie, a Justice League movie. They could do a pair-up movie. Let's say they do like a Nightwing movie that has Batman in it. He could also be, let's say, in Birds of Prey, which we're going to talk about later since that's a Gotham movie. He could show up in a Suicide Squad movie. So, I mean...
Which, I mean, he did in the other one. After credit scene, but still.
Well, still, not just the after credit scene. He was in the Deadshot portion.
You're right, he was.
When he came to get Deadshot in front of his daughter.
That's right, I
forgot. Like, come on, we got to go. And he's like, come on, not in front of my daughter, man. He's like, we got to do this. So he was even in that portion of it. He was also in the part where Harley and the Joker were in that Lamborghini. Mm-hmm. And he was on top of the Lamborghini, and then the Joker
I did forget about that.
Put that in there. So, like, he was in that movie, and that's where Ben Affleck, not totally done being Batman, but might not necessarily be a Batman movie. One thing I kind of want to hit before we get into, because the meat and potatoes of this is who can be the next
Batman.
one, or like not names of like who's definitely, but just throwing out some names that
ideas
could
of
be.
people who could be. Yeah.
And when we start that discussion, I have one to kick it off.
Okay.
And his name's not Jake Gyllenhaal. But the first thing I want to ask you is about the script, because Matt Reeves, we knew when he came in, his big bugaboo was basically, yeah, that script that you have, I don't want it.
Yeah.
If I'm coming in to do this, I'm making it my own, because he's said recently that this Batman movie is going to be something that we've never seen before, which to me, as a Batman fan, I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah.
Give me something that I haven't seen before. But also we're seeing it will have multiple villains. To go on top of a discussion I think we had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Does that narrow it down, younger Batman, what villains we could see out of here?
I don't know if it necessarily narrows it down.
And would this be necessarily, because we looked at ones that wouldn't be repeats. Does he just repeat a villain? I know it's like something you haven't seen before, but could he maybe like, oh, the Riddler is going to be one of the villains in this, although we've seen the Riddler on the screen?
I mean, not that we can't reuse any of the villains that have been used before. It's just maybe they'll take a different take on it, and hopefully a good, refreshing take on it. Because, I mean, the only Riddler we've ever had in live action is Jim Carrey's.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt about it.
I loved, as a kid, loved the Jim Carrey
loved it,
Riddler.
yeah.
I mean, I still enjoy it.
I haven't watched it in a while.
It's the Arnold Mr. Freeze that just makes me go, this was a product of its time.
Yeah.
It was a product of its time. I probably wouldn't do Mr. Freeze like this in the future.
Not like that.
But it was
but I think
absolutely
we'll probably get
time.
a darker, more psychological version of that type of guy. Whereas Mr. Freeze, I don't know if there's necessarily the heavy psychological like the Riddler would be, for example, but it'd be refreshing if we actually got like something that sort of looked from the animated series or from the comics.
See, the one that I'm targeting, and this is also, we've talked about this in the past, and this has also been a thing where this entire Batman story, like the Batman story, we have been talking about this for the better part of 2 years, Johnny.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, and this is the only reason I know this, is our podcast. It's actually coming up. It isn't our birthday. I got to double check. It's not our podcast birthday coming up soon. I know January, February is when we started that. Yeah. I don't know if this week is also our podcast birthday, but if you look at our thumbnails,
podcast anniversary,
basically, we've had three types of thumbnails through our history.
Oh, wow.
The one we have now, the one that was the blue R&J text in the corner.
Yeah.
And then the very first one when we started the podcast where it would have the full video title on the thumbnail at the bottom. The first time we talked about Matt Reeves being like announced as taking over this movie was that first thumbnail. The one with the... So basically, think about this. Around the time we reviewed Logan was when we started talking about Matt Reeves taking on this movie.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
And now we finally got to the point where we have a date for it. We know Ben Affleck's not going to be in it. And one of the stories we talked about, this is the long game of getting there, and I want to get your new thoughts on this because now it could be a possibility. Remember, we talked about Josh Gad, who at the time recently was LeFou in Beauty and the Beast. He has said he would love to play the Penguin. And Matt Reeves has also offered up that he loves Gad and is good friends with the actor. That is one where I see it's like, okay, think about the last time we saw the Penguin in a movie. Danny DeVito. Vastly different could just mean in that case, it ain't a Tim Burton movie, basically.
Yeah.
Because that was Tim Burton. That was like when you think of Tim Burton movies, it's over here in a corner. Tim does his own thing. They're usually good movies, but he's got his own style to those movies to where that is one villain that I'm looking at. I'm like, if WB can lock up Josh Gad for that role, that would be an interesting villain to go up against a young Batman, because then you could play the detective side of things and not the brute side of things.
Yeah, that would be nice. And that would be kind of... I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It would be very different to have Josh Gad play it as opposed to the Danny DeVito version.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I didn't dislike the Danny DeVito one.
No, it was a great version.
It was, but it would be interesting to see how Josh Gad plays the role now. Especially with just different acting styles and everything.
Well, and that's the thing, too, where I mean...
And different, like, one was I almost said Danny Elfman, but what's the... Tim Burton version compared to Reeves.
Yeah, you're thinking composers.
I did think composers, yeah.
But I mean, that is even something that I think about, where it's like, because when they say, and I'm fixating on this a little bit, when they say vastly different, to me, that doesn't mean like, okay, this movie had this character, we can't use it.
Yeah.
To me, what it says is, what I think that Matt Reeves is going to go for is... Think of the Batmans that we've seen.
Yeah.
It's not going to be hokey or campy or jokingly like the George Clooney ones. Even the Val Kilmer ones. The Michael Keaton one, I believe he was the one that was Tim Burton. So it's not going to be like that either because it's not going to be Tim Burton.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also not going to be like Ben Affleck and Christian Bale because both of those Batmans...
More about brute force.
Batmans, yes. Especially Christian Bale. After rewatching The Dark Knight recently, it's very much like...
brute force and not a whole lot of detective work.
Like the most detective work that we get is in The Dark Knight when he has to go to China to kidnap that one that one character that has all the money for the bad guys in Gotham.
Yeah.
With like, and working with Lucius with like the phone that has the sonar system, so you can see how the Navy gets out of evacuation situations, and having the plane with the hook. That was probably the most detective work.
Even then, it's more gadgets than it is detective work.
Exactly. And where this may be more on that detective side, hell, it could even be, if we're going younger Batman, who's to say we don't go with a so much green version of Batman to where he's freshly
Batman Year One?
Basically. Like, Batman Year One doesn't even have a relationship with Commissioner Gordon yet.
Yeah. What would be cool is kind of, since they said multiple villains, Penguin and Riddler. One's more of like the crime bossy side, which is Penguin, and one is literally just there to outsmart the Batman.
That's where you would need that detective side of things.
And I feel like then you'd have to have him established, like, he'd be past Year One, but he's still fairly fresh.
Yeah, I'm not saying like, and that's for sure. I'm not saying like, oh, let's give him right away for sure. He's fresh.
Oh no, I'm just saying though, that one, like, if you're gonna do that, you have to have him, because you have to have him like having solved a few crimes and all that, and then the Riddler would want to come up and say, I can outsmart him, and that's where that would kind of entail of wanting to challenge him.
Where the Penguin could be already established, like an established crime boss in the world.
Yes.
Whereas you look at the Riddler, he could just be up and coming.
Exactly.
And also, I found it out. The Matt Reeves direct video, where we said Matt Reeves to direct the Batman, was on our first ever podcast.
Oh my God.
Think about that. This video posted February 14th, 2017.
Wow.
So really, our podcast anniversary, we're two weeks from it.
Damn.
So Valentine's weekend is basically this. The podcast after Valentine's or around Valentine's weekend, that's our anniversary.
Aww.
Technically, it's the 12th. Technically, we recorded on the 12th. Our videos or our topics for that one. You ready for this? I think we did 4.
Probably not.
We did 4 that week. Will Logan be the best X-Men movie ever? Yes.
Yes, it was.
Matt Reeves to direct the Batman. Power Rangers movie, what should we expect?
Wow.
And Marvel movies theory, where will we find the soul gem?
Well, we know now.
Yeah, we were wrong, basically.
we were very wrong.
And because we mentioned hella in that video, we were hella wrong in that movie.
To be fair, who would have guessed that's where we would find it?
Not in a million years.
No.
So here's what I want to segue into before we go into the greater discussion of this and segue into topic number 2. The biggest question is, who's going to be that next Batman? Who's going to be the one to be Batman in The Batman? And I know a lot of people are going to say Jake Gyllenhaal, which I will say could technically still work, because just because he's Mysterio in Spider-Man, there's no, like, Marvel to me, Kevin Feige to me, is not the guy to say, let's put in the contract that you cannot work with them. And the reason why I say that is they asked him about Aquaman. And of course, when you're asked a question with a microphone, you're Kevin Feige, you're not going to be a douche about it.
No.
Like, I don't know if this is how he really feels, but I would like this to be how he really feels, where he was saying, like, he was excited. He went and saw it because he's like, I don't see Marvel versus DC. He goes, I just see great superhero movies. So for me, Jake Gyllenhaal is still an option. We knew that apparently Matt Reeves, before the Spider-Man Far From Home thing happened, and that could have just happened because Jake could have just went to Matt and said, hey, I know you want me to be the Batman, but shit or get off the pot, man. Like, this is not done.
It's like, I need to take another role.
I can't. Marvel probably came to him and he was like, Matt, I can't pass up this opportunity.
Exactly.
So unless you're ready to go, I'm going to
take this in Marvel.
But now the timelines could work. Far From Home is in post-production. Jake is done with everything that he has to do.
All they really need is possible reshoots. That's about it.
But I mean, at this point, we're
we're a few months out, so we're
July.
a little done
we're
with
past
that.
Reshoots.
Yeah,
we're now packaging and finishing all the editing. This could be perfect. Like Jake Gyllenhaal, could you see Jake being the next Batman?
I think it could be a young Bruce Wayne. I think it could work well.
Like, to me, let's say if he is Batman, like you say he could work, what about him? I'm going to get a little deep dive in.
First off, this is the thing you and I always talk about. Looks is one of them.
Yes.
To me,
you got to look like Bruce.
You got to look like Bruce. You got to look like whatever superhero you're portraying. And I would say this, Marvel does a fantastic job of everyone they pick.
Yeah.
And Marvel, MCU, Marvel, Disney, Marvel, to be specific. Every person they've picked has worked well and done really well, except, I mean, yeah, we switched out Rhodey from the first to the second movie.
Yeah.
We'll be fair about that.
But that was, I believe,
and Bruce,
he wanted more
money. That's a
money.
contractual thing. So it's like, no, we're going to go with this guy. And look how well that worked out.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, they switched out Bruce Banner. Again, that was a contractual thing. Wanted more money? No, we're not paying you that much.
Yeah, and I mean, with Jake Gyllenhaal, the thing that I kind of think of is he can look like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
To me, with Gyllenhaal, it's the personality.
Yes, I think he has that.
I'm not saying he doesn't, but it's one of those where if Gyllenhaal to me gets the role, it's not going to, like, let's say there is, and I'm not saying he's not, but let's just say there's a perfect choice for the Batman.
Okay.
Like, lesser actor, looks like Bruce, is exactly Bruce, would be the perfect Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
What I kind of feel is there may be not just that Matt Reeves really wants Jake, to where if they offered Jake the role, or if he came to Matt and said, hey, I would love to be Batman, I feel like Matt would campaign for him.
Yeah.
Because the rumors were Matt really wanted Jake to be Batman when he was writing it. Who knows what could happen during rewrites, like with him working the script. His image of Batman might have changed after they changed some things. But that's one thing. Number two, it's Jake freaking Gyllenhaal. Like, that is a name where it's like, let's put that on the poster.
Not to mention
Ben freaking Affleck.
Well, not
Christian Bale.
Not to mention, Jake Gyllenhaal hasn't, to me, been in a lot of movies that have, like, put his name out there again. He's going to be in Spider-Man Far From Home right before this. This is bringing his name back up.
I mean, but overall, like, he's a guy that was
everyone
in Jarhead, or in, what was it, Jarhead or Jughead? The Marines video. Jarhead. Donnie Darko.
Yes,
is
exactly.
basically the thing that put him on the map.
Yeah. And I'm saying, like, I other than, like, Jarhead was, how many years ago was that one?
A long time ago.
Yeah, so I mean,
we were in high school, I believe.
He's been, like, kind of flying low on the radar when it comes to him doing movies from what I can remember.
You know what's also funny?
Huh.
If he did get the role of the Batman, him and his sister, who there is a feud, no, they love each other, but like on the Colbert Report, they were trying to play fun at maybe a feud.
Yeah.
Little sibling rivalry. What does Maggie Gyllenhaal have on Jake?
What?
Jake's never been in a Batman movie. Maggie Gyllenhaal has.
What'd she play?
She was Rachel in The Dark Knight. She was Rachel.
That's her? I didn't know that. I didn't know she was Maggie Gyllenhaal.
No, she died. Spoiler. But spoiler, how many years later? Like 11 years later. But yeah, spoiler, she dies. But she was in The Dark Knight.
I didn't realize
Jake
that.
Gyllenhaal has never been in a Batman movie, I believe. But yeah, there's one.
I mean, he might win that one at that point if he plays the Batman.
Yeah, he'd be Batman. But there's two in my head after looking at pictures and different actors that I think for sure one looks like Batman. The other one I think could work. This would be going really young Batman because just to the actor's age.
Yeah.
He would be closer to Dave's age, a month younger than Dave. But if we were in high school, we would be in the same high school as this actor, Nicholas Hoult. Do you know who that is? You should know who that is.
Not offhand.
Hank from First Class, the Beast.
Oh, really?
Yes. I look at him and I go, okay, with the right haircut, with the right kind of suit, not with the short hair that I'm looking at now. That would totally not work as Bruce. But looking like if he grows his hair out a little bit, has it styled the right way.
Yeah.
I think he could look like Bruce Wayne, a very young Bruce Wayne, and he would be my pick if we're going more towards that greener Batman, where it's like, hey, I'm very young. I'm still kind of learning the ropes kind of.
I'd almost think to maybe see if he can do a little bit of stubble too then, just to kind of Because he had really like a really young looking face.
Yes,
and
he was clean shaven.
yeah, I don't know if that to me
Which
would work.
would not bother me.
It could work too. I would almost just to give him like make him look a little bit like he's actually in his late 20s type Batman. But I mean, we could be going like young 20 or mid 20s Batman.
Because the one thing I'm going to pull up really quick is because he was in Mad Max. I don't remember what he looked like. Okay, so all right, no, he wouldn't like.
What was his name again?
In Mad Max, he was the guy that was like completely bald, no facial hair.
No, what was his name again though?
Nicholas Hoult with an Hoult, and Holt. So yeah, the Mad Max one probably would not work, but he is one that like I looked at and I was like, you know what? I liked him in First Class.
No, I could see him as it now. Now I can see think of his face better.
Like that is one that I looked at and I was like, you know what? He's not my top choice, but he's one, especially if we're going on the greener route of things, that I could definitely see because he's got the chops for it. And I know that this is kind of like a territory that you get into. Like I'm going to compare it to, I was talking to Pete.
I just sent you a picture that I can see, like now I can see Bruce Wayne.
Did you send it on Facebook?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I could see him as Bruce Wayne with this one.
Pete about this with wrestling, where he said the one thing that kind of annoys some pro wrestlers is the fact that people who have never
Yeah, that would that would make them look like Bruce Wayne right there.
Suit, little bit of stubble on the side, little bit
just the
stubble
hair
with the mustache,
parted right in the right spot,
exactly,
and combed sideways,
exactly. And the thing is, like that is one where it's like, yes, I could see him being a young Bruce Wayne, but like I was saying, Pete said where wrestlers, some of them get annoyed when it's like, you've never bumped in the ring, you've never done what I do. How are you going to critique what I can do? Where I will say this, I have never acted professionally. I am not a professional actor. No. I've done minor acting, if you could say that, and like minor plays in high school, but nothing on the level where he is at. So that's what I want to say before I say what I'm going to say is that he's been in big movies, Mad Max, the X-Men series. I totally didn't even recognize him as this, but from Warm Bodies, he was R, the zombie.
Was he really?
Yes.
No, totally I did not recognize him as that.
And that was right before Days of Futures Past. So, I mean, that was First Class that happened, then Warm Bodies happened.
Wow.
Then Future.
He looks like a 17-year-old in Warm Bodies.
Exactly. Well, maybe at the time it was the hair, like the makeup too. Like the whiter makeup, the longer hair. But yeah, that was one. And he's apparently, right now, here is his movies that he's got right now.
Okay.
He's going to be in the Tolkien movie that's completed.
Really?
That he's playing J.R.R. Tolkien in that movie.
Oh, wow.
He's Hank McCoy in Dark Phoenix, which, by the way, saw another review on it. Apparently, people are not liking it, so it makes me a little nervous. The mouse needs to come in and save it.
He will.
It's in post-production for Dark Phoenix.
We need to stop fighting the mouse on this and just let him have it.
Now it's June, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
June.
We need to just let the mouse have it.
The True History of the Kelly Gang, which is in post-production.
Interesting.
The Banker, which is filming right now. He's Matt Steiner in that. And then he's in a TV series, which is in pre-production, called Crossing Swords. So, depending on that Crossing Swords, because here's another thing with the Batman that you got to think about with these actors. It's a 2021 release date.
Yeah.
When is that going to start filming? Are they going to shoot for a fall 2019 filming? Are they going to shoot for a winter 2020? Because they can't wait too long.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have a lot of the filming to do. You have the reshoots to do. You have the post production stuff to do.
At the soonest, summer 2019, fall 2019 is when they begin filming this. So that's what you got to think about too. With what
I feel like latest should be winter 2019.
The latest, yeah.
The latest.
I'm talking about like the soonest we can get it.
As soon as we can get it is that. The latest we should get it is
2020.
Winter 2019, right?
We're in 2019 now.
Yes, I'm thinking, winter 2020.
Yeah.
My bad.
And that's the thing.
Sorry, because winter goes from one month into the other.
Exactly.
Or 1 year into the other.
Here's another one, and I want you to pull this one up before I ask you about it.
Okay.
Type in Jamie Doran, 50 Shades of Grey.
Doran?
Yes. Dornan.
Dornan.
Dornan. I said Dorman. Dornan.
Doran. Yeah, I could see him. I don't know how he is as an actor, but...
Tell me about that, because you want to know, like, and I'm going to hit the camera so that we're back on it.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because this guy, Jamie Dornan, Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey.
I know. I don't know. I mean, he's got the look for Bruce, but I don't know how his acting is, so I couldn't say as an actor how he would be. I mean, if someone below wants to say that they could see Christian Grey being Bruce Wayne as well.
Christian Grey's a very unique character. And
from what I hear, I've never seen it. Has Ricky watched 50 Shades of Grey?
Based off of what is known about the the character of Christian Grey.
There you go.
It's a very, very different kind of a role than Bruce Wayne. Also, looking at his past products, like he was in Robin Hood. That was the 2018 version.
Yeah, I wish I got to see that one.
But he's one to me where, like, I look at his past films, and yet again, this is not something that dictates good or not, but I think it will play in with Warner Brothers of who they can sell. The biggest thing that he's been in is 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Arguably. Like, that is what he is known for, is Christian Grey. And that is something to where it's like, will they go with a Jake Gyllenhaal who has a plethora of movies that he is known for? The other one that I like, because basically I just feel like he could fit as Bruce Wayne. I've kind of been going in reverse order. I'd like Nicholas Hoult to get it. That would be cool. Jamie is one where he's the next one that I see looking like Bruce Wayne. The last one is Ben Barnes. And you might be like, who is Ben Barnes? Johnny, the last time I saw Ben Barnes in a movie was 2010, 2008, when he was Prince Caspian in the Chronicles of Narnia movies. Wow. Then he was also, just to say, because I haven't watched it yet, he has been in The Punisher Season 2. He was Billy Russo in The Punisher. He was also in Westworld, but shockingly to Dave, and I'm going to shock the world
he was in the first one too then. He was in Punisher.
Was he?
If he's Billy Russo?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. 25 episodes. Yeah, he was in the first one too.
Yeah.
So he was Billy Russo in The Punisher, and then Westworld are the two latest things that he's been really known for. But the last movie that he did, actual like movie, Seventh Son in 2014. So he's been doing, obviously because of how Westworld and The Punisher are higher kind of TV series, especially Westworld. That's a huge HBO production. And he's been in that since 2016. Do they look at somebody who hasn't done a movie
but it has his name out there?
In 5 years.
It might be hard because, like I said, the reason that Jake Gyllenhaal will have a bigger name if they were to get him, for example, is because he'll just have been in a Marvel movie.
Exactly.
And his name will be kind of like from plateaued to shot back up to like, oh shit, Jake Gyllenhaal was in this and this. Yep. Like, yeah, you got the people that remember, like you brought up, and I know he's in Donnie Darko, but how many years ago was that?
Exactly.
It was, and then I know he's also in Jarhead, but again, how many years ago was that? When you're not acting as much, your name kind of starts to slip under the radar, and you get when the name's brought up, oh yeah, I know who that is. But if you were just in a movie, it's like, oh shit, he was just in this. It's a little bit different reaction. So you kind of want someone that's been in stuff lately, so their name is still kind of up there. But like, if you can get Ben Barnes, if you can get him.
We're missing
something like this. I mean, he wasn't, like I said, like you said, not Ben Barnes is in The Punisher.
Movie, by the way. Brokeback Mountain. We're missing his biggest movie in Brokeback Mountain.
Maybe I was trying to avoid that one.
The thing that broke him in 2005
I know.
was Brokeback Mountain.
Broke him in or broke him? What do you...
You caught that. No, what really in 2005, like that was his big movie. But... this is just to list off the last few movies that he's been in.
Yeah.
So he's going to be Spider-Man Far From Home, Velvet Buzzsaw, which is a good horror thriller that's on Netflix. The Sisters Brothers. He was in Stronger, which I believe that was the boxing film. Let's see. No, Southpaw was the boxing film. Nightcrawler, which was another horror movie.
I forgot about Nightcrawler.
End of Watch, which was the cop movie. He was in Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. He was in Zodiac. Jarhead was 2005.
Wow.
So it was Brokeback Mountain and Jarhead were in the same year for him. And then he's also been in Donnie Darko and Bubble Boy.
Oh, yeah, Bubble Boy.
2001.
I forgot about Bubble Boy.
So, and the thing with Jake Gyllenhaal and why he'd be my number one is he's painting a broad brush.
Yeah, I can do a lot of different roles.
I can do a little bit of horror. I can do a little bit of superhero. I can do a little bit of this. And the thing I want to ask you...
I can do a little... I don't want to necessarily call it psychodrama, but Donnie Darko I would consider a psychodrama.
And imagine this. We've talked about it before. I don't know if Matt Reeves is going in this direction. It could be, going back to that something we haven't seen.
Yeah.
What if they're going to make this Batman movie a horror movie?
Could be.
I've talked about that before. It's a topic that I've really wanted to talk about.
We talked about once because like it was actually out there like, oh, we might make this Batman one a horror movie.
Yes. I know we've had on the shelf like an actual topic for painting that movie out. But like if you're going to go with those horror aspects, which you could go with in Batman, Batman can have drama in it as well. And obviously it's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal, unless he blatantly says no, or they don't offer him the part at all, I think he's locked up for it then. But otherwise, my dark horse would be the one I want to see. Go with a greener Batman.
Yeah.
Give me Hank McCoy as Bruce Wayne.
I got one that would be interesting.
Go ahead.
What would you say about Kit Harington?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I wouldn't hate it. I would not.
I'd like to see what he can do with that.
He would have to get rid of the Jon Snow accent.
I know.
He would have to go, and that's the thing where
voice coaching comes in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because he's British.
He's British,
which also Ben Barnes and Nicholas Hoult, they're both British as well.
Yeah, but Ben Barnes, have you watched the Punisher series?
Yes, I watched the first one. Exactly.
No British accent,
and that's why I didn't like Hank McCoy. No British in it. I'm trying to think. Does Jon Snow have a little British in him? Like, I'm trying to think of Jon Snow's voice. Like, I know it's
almost more Scottish.
I know it's different than his actual voice.
Yeah.
But that's the thing where I'm not saying he can't do it, but like, that's the thing of like, in my head, I can't hear him in an American accent.
I don't know if he has. I'm trying to actually...
Bruce Wayne. It would be interesting, though. That was a shot out of left field that I didn't expect.
Yeah. Well, I found it on...
Because HBO's coming...
to their
Game
end.
of Thrones is coming to an end. Yeah.
So he'll be...
Not Game of Thrones. HBO is coming to their end. Game of Thrones isn't there, so what else
As soon as Game of Thrones is over, it's all over for HBO.
What else do we have from there? No,
I got nothing else.
He would be very interesting. It would be one where I'd scratch my head, but I wouldn't hate it because I actually do like Kit.
Yeah, I would just want to hear if he can do an American accent. So, that would be the biggest thing. So
we'll say this. The ones that we have right now, the ones that we've thrown out, Jake Gyllenhaal, Nicholas Hoult is in the pot, Jamie Dornan is in the pot, Ben Barnes, Kit Harington. Before we move on to the next part of the conversation, do you have any more or any final things you want to throw in to this topic, which longer than I expected it to?
Yeah, no, I really don't have any other ones right now. I just saw a few. You listed like half the ones I was going to bring up.
Okay.
So.
Well, I got one more for you. I forgot to ask you about this one. This could be really quick here at the end. The big one. The actor who has already thrown his name into the conversation. Could we get Nick Jonas as the next Batman, Johnny?
Make him Terry McGinnis.
Terry McGinnis or Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
like,
one of the two. He's a little too baby face.
I looked at that and I was like, this isn't a Disney production, right? Disney is Marvel, right?
Yeah.
You know that, right? That they do that Marvel thing over there.
I'm sorry, he's just a little too baby face to play Bruce Wayne to
unless
me.
we're going like really green.
Yeah, like
really green.
Year
Batman.
one green, or
hey, I just became or the joke I was gonna say, and don't take this the wrong way, Nick, but oh man, my parents just died. That green, because that's how young he looks.
Yeah,
that's how young he looks.
He's really young looking.
So this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. What do you think about the Batman first? What do you think about that? Also, who could you see, or who would you want to see being Batman in The Batman, because that's the title that we have right now. Let us know what you think down below.